All right, guys, it's time for an update. It's been a week, and as you can see, I don't have a customer's truck in here, and it's because I wasn't here. Me and my wife decided just to take off and get away for a little bit, and that's exactly what we did. Went and did a little shopping, a little relaxing, a little sightseeing, and a lot of eating, and just got away. We got out of town. It was great. My wife works 6 days a week, and I'd pretty much been putting in 7 day weeks on this, and so I was ready to go myself. We didn't quite take the whole week, but it was it was 3/4 of a week, and it was worth it, man. We needed it. But anyway, just now coming out here to get started on this. I think it's about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've had a lot of stuff to do today. And this is exactly how I left the garage in this tornado mess in here. And anyway, I'm going to finish up what I got to get done on this today. And it'll be ready to get blasted and epoxy primed. Catch you up on a couple of things. We got in yesterday afternoon, and she went to sleep. She was tired from the drive. And my truck that I bought for my father-in-law, that 87 GMC, it's had a few issues, and I've just been driving it. And so I decided yesterday just to get out there and get on it. It had a little bit of a mist to it. You could smell antifreeze when you drive it. And the blower motor was not working. So after checking it out, the blower motor was seized up. And the coolest part was it's the same as a G-body, so I had plenty of spares here. So I swapped it out, got it working. The antifreeze leak was a pinhole at the nipple at the radiator, so I just pulled the hose off, trimmed it down, and stuck it back on there. And I put a set of spark plugs in it, some AC Delcos, and I noticed 2 burnt spark plug wires. So I swapped them out with just some used ones I had here in a box. And man, the thing runs great now. I went down to Lowe's this morning to get a couple of furniture dollies, because that's what I'm going to be using to roll the chassis in and out of the garage with. And I started smelling antifreeze before I got to Lowe's. So when I got down there, I opened the hood, and I didn't have any antifreeze leaks under the hood, so I'm assuming the heater core is leaking a little bit. So that kind of sucks. But it does run better. What else? Just a few minutes ago, I plugged my compressor in, and I noticed the dang thing was running funny. It didn't have a steady RPM on its while it was running. It was kind of up and down on its RPM, and it kind of hit me that this was covered in dust. It was all dirty. It kind of hit me that I haven't cleaned them filters in about a year. So I pulled the filters out, and holy smoke, man, them things were matted with dust, just packed. I dropped one of them, and it looked like I dropped a bag of dust. So I blew them out real good, and I never had understood how they really get much air, because it's like a thin line all the way around that it draws air in. So I grabbed a step bit on my impact, and I just popped like 5 3/8 size holes in each one. Just get a little bit more airflow. It ain't gonna hurt anything. It's got a full-size filter in there, and it's completely sealed at the cylinder. So anyway, I noticed it was a little low on oil. I changed the oil in it last year, so I went ahead and topped it up a little bit. But the belt was a little loose, so I tightened it also. So anyway, I plugged it back in, and it started working good, or working right. So I about burned the dang thing up, I think. It's just trying to kill itself, trying to get some air. Anyway, I did notice this morning, I was kind of blown away actually. I had 72 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I think that's awesome. Thanks guys for subscribing to it. I mean, obviously you can tell I am so amateur at this. I'll never make money on YouTube, and I don't plan on ever being a professional at it. I just use my phone. I've always been a forum builder on car forums, and I always posted pictures and then typed out a big description. And it always kind of sucked for me, because I'd go into big detail on my descriptions, and I type with one finger, so it took a long time. So my photo site that I used to use, they started doing pop-up ads, and it got to where it was locking my computer up, and it would stall the uploads, and sometimes it just not even upload them because of the ads. So I got tired of it. The bad thing is last year I paid for the subscription, and I always had the free one. I've had that thing for, man, 15 years probably. And I paid for the subscription last year, just the entry level, and it still gave me pop-up ads and was locking up. So I decided I was not going to renew all that stuff. I just moved to doing YouTube videos because for me, I can do commentary instead of typing with one finger. And instead of uploading pictures, I have a little video. And I don't know how many of you guys are, but I would rather see a video than see pictures, you know. But anyway, thanks guys for subscribing. It just shows there are some like-minded guys out there that kind of checking out what I'm doing, and I think that's cool. So anyway, I'll catch you up on what I'd done before I left. I didn't do a video before we left, and I'd actually done a little bit of work on the chassis. This is the bottom side of it. I've got it flipped over, obviously, but the big thing was the drive shaft half loop in the rear back here. This thing was too tall. I wish I'd have measured that before. I just didn't do it when I had everything mocked up. It just looked, to me, it just looked too low to the ground. So anyway, I cut a full inch out of it, and I just reshaped it, and I cut the sides back off of the top piece, and I just dropped it back down. I did not change this because I couldn't, but I did change that. And I like it. You know, it's a little bit thinner, but it widens out. And this, to me, now this looks bulky. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to trim this one down and drop its lid a little bit. The main reason is when I built these 3 loops, I built the front one first, then I built the rear, then I laid my long straight edge level up here. And the front of all 3, when I set this one up to touch it, so they had an even step. And it looked proportioned when I was done. Now it's not proportioned. That middle one's almost as high as this one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one down and redo it. It ain't going to take but about 20 minutes to do, so that's what I plan on doing to that. Get that back in proportion. I got the shock ears on the bottom fully welded. The top's fully welded, now the bottom's fully welded. I've finished putting welds down in there on my muffler brackets. These rear mounts, just this one and the one on the other side, they actually hung down past the frame rail, and they were a little sharp. I don't have curb feelers anymore, so I'd have skint my head up good on those things if I was ever under the car working on it. So I trimmed them down pretty good and then re-rounded the edges. I lost my hair in my mid-20s. My hair started falling out real bad, and so I don't have an early warning detection system anymore, so I'm pretty good at hitting my head on stuff. Anyway, I finished welding the new transmission crossmember ears. I like that design a lot better. To me, it's a lot cleaner looking. I had a couple of big holes drilled in both of them, and I plug welded and then also fully perimeter welded them. I will bevel grind all the perimeter of those and then put Bondo on my finger and go around it, make them molded in. I got the motor mount cover plates welded in. I'll bevel grind those and put filler on my finger and go around those. These are just a big, heavy V-style motor mount. Steel, you know, two-sided V, whatever you want to call it. But it was just ugly, so I plated everything in just to kind of make it more flowy. So that's kind of why they're big looking. But by the time it's all done and molded in, I think it'll look great. It'll look better than having just an open motor mount design thing. But I plated this horn up here, and I put a little piece back here. I still got a little bit of welding to do up there, and then I got to plate this side. I do have them marked out in steel. I just need to get them cut out. So exactly what I'm getting ready to do is this. I'm getting ready to put these in right now, and then I'm going to do the loop. These little pieces look like socks, and it's just because you know, it looks like just a little bitty hole. I got a patch here, but it's actually a divot in here, and so basically cut a whole piece out that'll fit down in there, and I'll weld it up and grind it flush so it'll be flowy. Anyway, there's just a couple little, like there's 2 holes here that are unused. This one was plumb full of grease, and just I almost couldn't even see it. until I hit it with not a cut brush to clean it. And the weld is not, it's kind of not all the way around that outer edge, and that's their weld there. So anyway, I cleaned them out and wire wheeled on this a little bit. I did weld this one up some more, but I didn't touch these holes, and these look like spot welds, which is kind of weirding me out. So I'm going to go ahead and weld up those 2 holes completely and then put a little bit more weld in there and then grind everything. But I'm sure there's going to be a couple more things like that I'll find as I go, but I'll be done with the metalwork on this chassis in about 2 hours, I'd say, because I'm getting ready to do that right now. And then I'm going to jump on that half loop. And there might be a couple little things that I missed. But, I'm taking my time. I've slowed my pace down, and that's just in case, I find something I need to do. It is raining today, so there's no way I'll be able to blast it anyway, but I'll finish the metal work. I'll get it ground, and I'm going to flap wheel that frame rail over there because there is some weld spatter on it from the factory, and because I've already done it over here. But I do plan on putting body filler on the entire bottom side of this frame. I'm not going to try to make this smooth as one piece. I'm going to leave it 2 pieces. But as you can see, there's a dent and a dent and a dent. I mean, they're just rough, I'm going to leave the factory seam there. I just want both sides straight and smooth, and the sides especially. The side is pretty reaply and wrinkly and from the curve in it and stuff. So anyway, pretty much almost done. And I know I'll have the metalwork done and probably the grinding done today too. So that's the plan. And then tomorrow, hopefully it's not raining. I don't think it's supposed to, but I'm going to go ahead and blast the chassis. I'm going to put the chassis on these furniture dollies, and I'm going to roll it out in the driveway, and I'm going to blast it and then blow everything out and blow it off and wipe it down with some Sim Solve, and I'm just going to put a couple coats of epoxy on it. This chassis will be sitting out here under the carport while my customer's truck's in here. It will be coming in here Monday. I've got 3 days, and I know I can get this in epoxy primer then. And then next weekend, I'll start doing body work on it. But I'm going to do the body work out in the driveway under the carport, and that way I won't get a bunch of Bondo dust in the garage again like I did when I did the firewall. But anyway, I'm real happy. I'm glad I kind of took that little time off because now I'm back at it. And, before I was kind of getting into a hurry because I was running out of time. And now I just kind of slowed my roll a little bit, but back on track here. Anyway, I guess that's about it. Get this done and get it in epoxy, and then I'm going to clean the garage up real good, and then I can get his truck in here and get started on it. And there is a lot. I'll probably do a video diary log of it too, because that thing is rough. It's a 59 Chevy truck, and I've already did a little bit of stuff to it, but it is rough. It needs door bottoms, inners and outers, both cab corners, inners and outers. The floor is pretty rusty in spots. Somebody's went in there and tack welded little patch panels over the top of the rusty floor. And man, what else? It got hit at one point in its life on the passenger side, right at the cowl. The cowl was pushed in 1 inch, and somebody literally went in there and filled it full. I'm getting these out here. Filled it full of Bondo at the cowl, where the cowl meets the top of the fender. That was 1 inch of filler. But anyway, so I got another piece. So I cut the whole side of the cowl out of another truck, and I've got to put it in there. So there's going to be a ton of metal work on that truck. So I'm already tired of doing metal work on this thing, but now I got to turn around and do that. But anyway, I got to make money somehow. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna get back on it and see what more of a mess I can make here.